everyone, I'm Anne Riddell and welcome to Arts in the City. As we enjoy this gorgeous view of our hometown, we are taking a look back at a few of our favorite stories from this past season. First up, a cemetery might not be at the top of your list for cultural outings, but when it comes to Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, maybe it should be.
The Greenwood Cemetery is a permanent home for more than 550,000 souls, resting in the tranquility of these 478 acres. But it's also very much a place for the living.
I like to think Greenwood is trying to redefine what a cemetery in the 21st century could be.
Harry Weil is the director of public programs at Greenwood.
Yes, we are an active burial site. People are cremated and buried here on a daily basis, but we're a place that welcomes visitors for tours, concerts, and programs throughout the year, too.
For example, step inside the historic chapel and take in stunning stained glass, hop on a trolley tour, or check out a concert in the catacombs.
I have to say the catacombs are my favorite spot in the cemetery. So in the middle of the cemetery is this beautiful long hallway that looks as though it's somewhere out of medieval Europe or something. And on either side are 15 family vaults. And because of the shape of it, the sound just echoes. So performances in there are really special.
Or perhaps architecture is your thing.
You can't get away from architecture. So whether it's the main gate, which is this beautiful Gothic revival archway, but all of the many mausoleums that are, spread throughout the grounds. Whether it's Egyptian revival or Gothic revival or Greek revival, it's every major trend from the 19th and 20th century you'll find.
And while the dead are memorialized on these grounds, their stories bring history to life. Among those here, the composer Leonard Bernstein, artist Jean-Michel Basquiat, and the infamous politician Boss Tweed.
So it's estimated that he stole in 1870 money about $250 million from New York City and New York State. My favorite Boss Tweed story is I was driving past his lot about a year ago, and I saw something at the gate of the lot and backed up to see what it was, and it was a little plastic trophy that you can buy in a trophy store. Yeah. And it said "Best Boss" on it.
That's funny.
Yeah, so we have two keys here. One for the outside door.
Defying the notion of you can't take it with you, some of the residents here did just that. We got a rare glimpse of beautiful sculpture behind mausoleum doors, art that sits in the dark quiet of eternity. Finally, some other notable residents who call the main gates home.
So they came in on a shipment from South America. Being imported, as exotic birds, and somehow cracked out of their case and made a run for it. And so they particularly love high places, and they've been here ever since. Many, many generations of monk parakeets have established themselves in the main gates. So we've actually done 2 restorations on those gates. They are New York City landmarks. And during the 2 restorations, they moved to a nearby tree and watched as their condo was rehabbed. And then they moved back in, and you typically see them flying around with a twig in their beaks, and they're building their nest and kind of, fixing it up.
Like true New Yorkers, obsessed with real estate.
Bill T. Jones is one of the most recognized and acclaimed choreographers of our time. And this year marks the 40th year of the Bill T. Jones Arnie Zane Company. Our Lisa Beth Kovitz sat down with Mr. Jones himself to talk about the importance of dance and the company's latest work entitled Curriculum.
Every piece that we make is asking questions that are important to me, existential questions about being alive, my beliefs, and what this company project has been for now 40 years. So curriculum is that in spades.
So what are the ideas and questions posed in curriculum?
I was really impressed hearing that young Greta Thunberg say, "How dare you?" And I thought she was speaking to me. I also heard at that time an African philosopher whose name is Achille Mbembe, who was a guest lecturer at the University of Bergen in Norway. They asked him, what did people from the North need to know about the South to be good global citizens? And I thought, what do I need to know about the world? How can all of those things that dance does, and my work in particular, how can it be at the service of a big question that we're all facing? What about being well-informed and able to face this uncertain future? Now, that's a mouthful, I know, but that's what the piece wants to be about.
So then, how does movement make meaning?
That is the question, isn't it? I believe that movement is itself like color in painting. How does the color red make meaning? It has to do with how it's applied, what the image is or is not. You, the public, are watching these beautiful, seductive movements, but it's like watching the news and seeing a ticker tape underneath it of something else going on in the world. Now, is that assigning meaning to the movement, or the movement is part of a matrix of meaning, which is what I'm interested in?
There are so many nouns attached to the name William Task Jones. Does any one description resonate for you more than another?
Survivor is pretty good. Survivor and I'm a lover. I love my husband, but I think I love people. I'm a mean son of a bitch, but I think I love people. Not necessarily like them, I think I love them. So I'm a lover, and I'm a thinker.
Curriculum was delayed, and the theater lost years of box office revenue, but through it all, Bill G. Jones' Arnie Zane Company continued to pay their employees. And so, on behalf of the whole city, I asked the survivor.
Now, how do you keep moving? How do we keep moving?
How do you keep on keeping on?
These are complicated feelings. How do we carry them? How do we...
I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water. That's how I do it. It's corny, isn't it? In an interview, I start singing. You're talking to an artist, not a politician. You're not talking to a doctor. This is how an artist does it. What does the moment call for, and can you meet the moment? Our season of anniversaries has been hard, fought for. We are so proud that we are, quote, still here.
For Arts in the City, this has been Lisa Beth Kovets.
In our city, love never goes out of season. Photographer Laura Fuchs took to the streets over the winter to find it. A dashing hat can really make an outfit. Our very dapper Mike Gilliam takes us to the East Village for the art of hat making.
It's one of my favorite places in the neighborhood.
Bettina, a longtime customer, is talking about East Village Hats, a cool shop on East 7th Street where owner Julia Knox has an incredible selection.
We make literally every kind of hat, from our felt menswear, fedoras, pork pies, to casual hats for women and amazing dramatic creations.
They'll even make custom-designed hats for their clients right on the premises. And it all comes with a personal touch.
So what I'm going to suggest is something beautifully shallow, like this.
Julia was trained as a milliner at Fashion Institute of Technology. She joined Barbara Feynman Millinery in 2012 and took over the business when it moved from a few doors down the street to the current location in 2016.
So I studied fashion originally, but when I came to New York, I took hat making classes, and I just love how egalitarian hat making is.
So, what makes the perfect hat?
When you're coming in and choosing a hat, there's a lot of aspects to think about. What's the hat for, and what does it need to go with, and how do you need it to fit with your face, your wardrobe.
But there are lots of styles to consider, from sun hats to the dramatic, to fun hats like this, to 1920s hats and the styles women will be wearing for this year's Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby is all about color and all about drama. And so this is like a 1950s Dior shape. And they're called profile hats because they frame your profile so beautifully from both sides.
The hats are 100% handmade and cost about $300. Felt hats start with a cone shape. They use steam to mold the hat and they cut it into the style. The workhorse of the shop is this vintage sewing machine from the Industrial Revolution.
It's a refurb machine from 1890, so it's 130 years old, and it's just indestructible.
Creations from the shop are popping up everywhere.
We've been doing a lot of TV work recently, so you can catch my hats on HBO in The Deuce and on FX in Pose, which was great fun, lots of really dramatic pieces. And I've got a TV show coming up that I'm super excited about.
Alicia Keys, Helen Mirren, Sean Lennon, and Madonna are all on board.
Her stylist came and pulled a load of hats out, and not only did she purchase 3 of them, but she wore one for the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
But there's more. In addition to creating all types of hats for her clients, Julia also offers hat-making classes right here in the store.
I'll teach you how to make fedoras, I'll teach you how to make a sun hat or a turban or a fascinator. But on top of that, I really enjoy inviting teachers from all around the world to come and teach specialist skills.
So, if you're looking to get a new hat or maybe even make your own, Julia says come and see her. In the East Village, I'm Mike Gilliam for Arts in the City.
Posters mean a lot to people, capturing a moment in time or a favorite memory. Whether it's an iconic view or a beloved Broadway show, posters can pack an emotional punch. Our Donna Hanover learned that firsthand at the Poster House.
People love posters. Your favorite band, Broadway show, movie, or fight is portrayed in a flash. A good poster has a strong, quick punch.
A great poster is the marriage of word and image, and it has to communicate to its viewer in under a second to be successful.
Angelina Lippert is the chief curator of Poster House in New York, which opened in 2019. There are several poster museums around the world, but this is the only one in the U.S.
So posters are kind of in between art and commerce. They are a public-facing notice meant to persuade. So that could be to sell a product, to convince you to go to an event, or to convince you to change your mind about an idea.
Some posters are always up because they're a timeline of great moments in Western graphic design. Jules Charest is huge in poster history.
Prior to the 1870s, posters were actually broadsides, so text-based announcements with maybe a tip-on, so a small image on them. When Jules Charest perfected the art of color lithography, he found a way to replicate large-scale imagery for the first time in full color, quickly and cheaply, and that was very important. But what you see behind me is a progressive proof. So it's all the different colors printed via stone lithography, and this is a test print, essentially. So the printer would only have made one, and the fact that it survives is a miracle.
Next up,
It's by Leonardo Cappiello, the father of modern advertising, and it's for Chocolate Klaus, except you don't see a chocolate bar in the poster. And this is the moment when Cappiello figures out that you don't need to show the product to sell it. People were so enamored by this image of a woman on a red horse that they were like, oh, can you get me that chocolate bar, you know, the lady on the red horse.
What does this represent?
This is from the Art Deco period, so the 1920s, specifically 1926, and it's by Marcello Nizzoli. And Campari was such a prolific producer of posters that we wanted to include it in the timeline.
In the 1960s came psychedelic rock and roll.
And psychedelic posters had a really short lifespan. They only lasted for a few years at the end of the 1960s. But they are some of the most famous posters today. This one over here, you might recognize if you like the movie Almost Famous. This inspired that movie poster. It's by Victor Moscoso, and it's for the Chambers Brothers. Behind me is a poster by Paula Scher. She kind of reinvented how theatrical posters worked in New York. She made them really vibrant, she made them really exciting. Before Paula Scher started doing ads for the public theater posters were basically like image of what's happening, text. She made them dynamic and aggressive and really compelling, and she still does their posters today.
Special exhibits that change every few months have shown the work of Leroy Neiman, Peter Max, and Pushpin Studios. What makes a poster valuable?
The original run is what is important. So if they are all printed today, that is the run that's important. If they're printed tomorrow, that is no longer part of the original run. It matters how many survive. So if maybe 7 copies of the one behind me survives, those are the ones that people collect. They're rare, they're important.
Poster House also gives visitors a chance to put themselves into a famous poster. Let's see. I've always admired Rosie the Riveter. And Colin Brady is the director of operations here. So what do we do?
Basically, you just stand into the frame, so a little bit to the side, get your bicep up like Rosie. And once we have the image, we can adjust it just to get you right up in there, and there you go.
The Poster House website is starting to make many posters they've displayed searchable, so you can often find your favorite. I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
Now to creativity on your feet. The artistry of handcrafted shoes is not a thing of the past. It's alive and well right here in Brooklyn. Susan Junn has the story.
From form and fabric to design and construction, handcrafted shoemaking is an art. Handcrafting shoes flourished in the 18th century when cobblers made custom pairs. These days, most shoes are mass-produced in factories overseas, but here at the Brooklyn Shoe Space in Williamsburg, people learn to make their own.
When I started shoemaking and learning, there was nothing out there like a hub or a knowledge or some pool of people or resources.
Keiko Hirosue-Korolev started making shoes as a hobby in her spare time while working in the world of corporate fashion.
I was wearing the shoes that I made. I had designer friends who were telling me, those are really great shoes. Where did you get them? I made it myself, and they were like, I want to learn how to make.
And much like a knitting circle, Keiko started a shoemaking circle. That small group grew to a large collective in 2014 where members came to learn and make, among them brand name designers.
The brands came to us wanting, I think, for the designers or the production people to understand the construction of footwear.
Keiko left her corporate job to run the Brooklyn Shoe Collective, becoming a part of the Makers Movement, a cultural trend that encourages people to make what they need. A meaningful concept in the U.S. footwear industry, which has the largest market in the world, yet manufactures less than 2% of shoes.
That's what I can do over here, is just to keep on promoting shoemaking and maybe close the gap between the industry and the makers. Now here you want to do this one straight.
Although Keiko was forced to close the collective when the pandemic hit, she continues to teach in her new studio, where women and men, young and old, come to create. Students like Andrew Grayson, who wants to bring his design dreams to life.
I've been wanting to design sneakers for like a big company since I was in middle school. And the idea of actually like creating a shoe was just like, I couldn't fathom it. So I've just been sketching a lot and like designing it from like my mind. But to actually bring it to reality, that's why I came here.
Miriam Sarag from Egypt came to learn how to make a prototype for her business concept of a high heel that converts to a low heel.
You get to learn a lot, not only from your process, but other people's processes.
And for other students like Lorna Flynn, shoemaking is a chance to learn something new.
There's a lot more work that goes into it than you would imagine.
More than 200 steps to be precise. I got the abbreviated lesson, which starts with the form of your shoe called a last. From the last, a pattern is made. Using that pattern, material is cut, sewn, stretched over the last, and then the sole is applied. Students use Keiko's impressive equipment, which includes an extensive last collection and sewing machines that date back to the early 1900s. From start to finish, Keiko says her students create their basic cemented footwear in 5 days.
The Brooklyn Shoe Space hosts private classes, small and corporate events, and even offers a scholarship.
For more on all the Brooklyn Shoe Space has to offer, check out brooklynshoespace.com. For Arts in the City, I'm Susan Junn.
Next up in our bag of tricks, Barry Mitchell. He chatted with globe-trotting magician Joshua J, and it turns out the way magicians think may be even more fascinating than any single illusion.
Did you hear about the magician who was walking down the street and turned into a restaurant? The restaurant is Tavern 29 right off Park Avenue, and the magician is the world-famous Joshua J. Welcome.
Thanks, Barry. Glad to be here. Jimmy, I have no idea how you did this, but you managed to fire a 5-foot boa constrictor.
Tell me about the new book.
It's called How Magicians Think, and this is my love letter to magic. This is sort of my answer to all the questions that we get asked as magicians, because it's always the same ones. People say, do you create your own tricks? Was Houdini as good as everybody says he was? What do you do if you mess up while you're on stage? There's these core curiosities about magic that people want to know about.
So do you consider magic an art or a craft?
Anything can be art when it's exceedingly well done. I call it a craft because a craft is something you work at your whole life. And that's what magic is. Great magic is a cocktail of many methods. It's psychology, it's misdirection, it's special technique, it's sleight of hand, it's lots of things working together.
I think I can say without giving anything away, I absolutely did not do a deck switch.
You did not do a deck switch? If you didn't do a deck switch, you fooled us is what you did.
And you create your own tricks.
Yes. Everything that I do, for the most part, is either original or is my iteration of something that somebody else has done.
YouTube has all these amateur magicians giving away secrets. That can't be good for you.
No, it's a problem. It is a truly 21st century problem. But the truth is, this is where the artistry of magic comes into play, because knowing how something's done is not the same as being able to do it.
And you also say in your book, an audience needs emotional investment in the magic show. Why?
If I make a big red ball appear right now, you might say, I have no idea how you did that, but you're also going to say, that's really random. But if instead I said, Barry, can I borrow your cell phone? And I made your cell phone disappear and then reappear inside your hat, well, now you're personally invested in a simple way because it's your phone, but you care. So it's about finding ways to connect to people, to make the magic personal.
Josh, magic is not only your job, it's also your hobby, and you collect memorabilia. Show us some of your collection.
The first one is a fork bent by Uri Geller, the famous mentalist. He signed it from here. We shared the stage in 2013, and he bent this fork for me. Interestingly, this was on my shelf. I displayed it with great pride for many years, And I walked in one day, and the cleaning woman who
my God.
assisted my apartment, I said, hey, there's a fork missing, where was it? And she said, yeah, it was all bent up, so I straightened it out and I washed the black smudges off. So fortunately I saw him again, I told him the story, he laughed, he bent me another fork, and this is fork number 2. You are now holding Houdini's handcuffs. Those are a set of handcuffs owned and from the collection of Harry Houdini, and you can see how small his wrists were. He only stood about 5'3" or so.
I like him already.
Yeah, that's right. And he would have escaped from these handcuffs in the 19-teens and 20s on his touring shows.
So cool.
We don't think of magic like we think of film and music and poetry as a form of self-expression. And my question is, why can't it be? Magic provides something that is rarer and rarer in this world, which is mystery. I mean, we are one click away on our phones from knowing everything, right? We need stuff that we don't understand, and I think magic provides that.
Joshua J., thanks so much.
Thanks.
The book is called
How Magicians Think.
And I want to thank Robert here at Tavern 29 for his hospitality. I'm Barry Mitchell, and you're watching the magical Arts in the City.
That is our show for today. Thanks so much for watching. A quick reminder to check us out on social media. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Anne Riddell. See you next time on Arts in the City.